Hey y'all, here it is, a beautiful Sunday evening on Christmas Eve. Is that right? 22nd of December. Yeah, yesterday marked the shortest day of the year, so I guess from here till about June 20th, 21st, we'll just start getting a little longer each day. Only a few seconds to a minute. Y'all, there's something nibbling on my pants. It's these baby goats. This is the second day they've been out here in the backyard in a contained situation. We're still bottle feeding them in the house and taking care of business that way, but they're a little bit hungry at the moment, and they associate me with the milk flow from the bottles. So I think they're getting ready to go in for the night in their little kennel and get their belly full, but starting to introduce them to a little bit of grass and get that little rumen started developing in their gut there that'll serve them well the rest of their life. But as you can see, they're doing well. The cat's keeping any of the critters away from them, I guess. But one little blue-eyed one there, and this one we've named Little Dumpling Ann. My sister named that one after it coming on her birthday proper this year, November 28th, Thanksgiving. But we've yet to name the other one. My cousin came by this morning, and it's good to see him. It's kind of funny, this whole place 30 years ago would have been crawling with cousins and uncles and all, but time marches on. But he said we ought to, it looked like an Amos. And I said, well, that would work if it was a little boy. He said, well, I said, what do you call it, Amos, or I don't know. We'll see if I can get out this gate without letting the goats out this gate. And, of course, they'd come right back to me, but they need to stay contained for a minute while we take a little stroll through the pasture, if y'all are okay with that. Goodness, the comments and the messages of support, thank y'all so very much. I certainly do read them all on these lives especially, and try to see all the rest of them as well. So if y'all are coming on now live or maybe a little later this evening, then sound off where you're at. And man, I know we've got some folks in Australia watching, and lots of folks in Canada and all over the U.S. And it's always nice to see how far the light reaches, right? We're all shining our own light. I got to pause and say God sure showed out this year, and the growth of this page, something I never really intended to do. I've been strolling this pasture for about 6 years now, and just sharing thoughts and memories and stories, and hope to encourage folks along the way. And by the looks of things, we're all doing that just right together. Let's see, I guess it was February or so. We've hovered around 4,500, 5,000 folks. It's part of our extended family for a long time now, and lots of dear folks that come and go. I know some folks that used to follow have already made their journey over, and I see some of those comments pop up for memories and reflect on that. But thanks to y'all and God's blessing, we've grown 1,000% this year, coming up on 60,000 folks that hang out with us when we do these. So I really appreciate that, and thank y'all. And I guess the main point of that is we're spreading the good in an old dark world, right? I saw something in stark contrast the other day, and there's a couple of situations I wanted to share with y'all, but I don't get really distracted by different negative comments, and of course any old post or thing on Facebook and social media. You know, I know y'all seen the old joke, somebody will share a picture of a fence post and then the arguments will ensue. So people like to argue about everything, I guess, but when you start talking about things of God and his good nature and all he does for us, you've got folks out there that maybe don't believe that way, and that's their path to walk. And God, for whatever reason, they're just upset, and they just don't believe that way. A lot of times they're the most vocal. I'd heard a saying one time that they can be hurtful. I've heard a saying that's always served me well to really understand that angst from some folks at different seasons in their life. It says, hurt people, right? We don't know what their worldview is, and a worldview is subjective to things you know, how you've raised, your geography, and just the things you know. I'd heard someone talk the other day about something kind of blew my mind. So all my life, and most of y'all's I'm sure as well, all of us walking the earth now, we know for a fact, and you can see them in the gender reveal parties, and when you see a little child under the age of 6 months or so, or even older, if they've got blue on, that's a little boy. And if they got pink on, that's a little girl. It'd be crazy to me to see a little infant dressed in pink, and that would signify a girl, because my worldview says different than that. I've been raised to know that blue signifies a boy, and that pink signifies a girl. But if you look back just 150 years ago, turn of the century, a little bit before that, that was not the case, because pink was kind of a softer side of red, which signified masculinity and strength, and that's what you would have found on a little baby boy. And blue was found on a baby girl, right? Did y'all know that? That's something? Yeah. That was kind of oh goodness. So all that to say this, some people have different views, and we pray for God to reveal to them the truth of things. Most of them ain't farmers, because there's no way you could live on an old farm and around livestock and not at least know that there's an existence of something bigger and intelligent design, and he's my Savior, Jesus Christ. But I wanted to share something with y'all off of the comment string of a couple of different videos. And I don't argue. I don't get into a back and forth. I'm just not going to do it. If it gets out of hand, I'll just block them and delete it and move on, because it's not worth the time and the energy when we could be doing things that we love and sharing the light. But one gentleman had commented on the, I don't know if y'all remember the story about the spider over the cave for the soldier, and how he had correlated to that God had sent that spider to save him. Well, he didn't think that was the right way to look at that. Why couldn't it just be coincidence? And what about all the other soldiers that didn't get a spider over their cave and their families? And we were just idiots. I think he said, you people. Well, I just wished him a Merry Christmas, and he didn't like that. So I'm going to read his response. But then, on the other hand, a little story about the dad revealing, or about me talking about the little boy and Santa Claus and the spirit of giving. A gentleman came on there. He's probably, I forget, I know he says his age in his comment. It really was a stark contrast of wisdom and faith in the wake of two really rough situations. On one hand, you have a man that has chosen that he's the master of his own destiny. He's probably half the age of this other man. Maybe with time and life and wisdom, he'll come to understand. But let me just read those. I'll make you, I'm not going to say the names, but I saved them on my phone so I could get to them very quickly. Let me, I guess it would be smart to put my glasses on. But this is the kind of stuff I look at, and it just blows my mind. Beautiful to me. So the one gentleman that was anti-God, atheistic if you would, after I wished him a Merry Christmas, he basically said, don't worry about me. I'm quite happy being sane and intellectually honest about the world I live in. You, all capitals, on the other hand, not so much. I hope you come to your senses one day and have a happy winter solstice. After all, that's where all this Christmas hoopla began. It's a pagan holiday. Get over yourselves. All right, so hopefully and I will. I'll come to my senses one day. Sure will. I'll be out of exile from this old earth and on the other side. But the other gentleman, this really inspired me. I think it They've got a lot of interaction on the post, rightfully so. What a beautiful testimony to the faith of someone that follows the Master. I'm going to say his name because it's worth crediting. His name is Vern Seals. He said, today the 6th, meaning December the 6th, is my 58th birthday. I'm spending it for the first time without my wife on this earth. Doesn't feel like a special day without her. 42 years together, my birthday wish, if I could have one, would be having her back with me healthy. That's not possible, I know. So my birthday wish instead is for all of you who still have that one true love with you. Cherish them, for you never know when God shall call them, and you'll be just like me, holding a precious memory. Precious memories, how they ever flood my soul. Now, I want y'all to think about this. He's in a very, very deep valley of sorrow, as we all would be. Yet he says this to close out his comment. I still get chill bumps every time I think about this, because this is what it's all about. Great God of heaven, you are the God of my childhood, the God of my foolish years, and you're the great God of my autumn. God, I praise thy holy name, for you are still good to my marrow. Another breath you have given me, another opening of my eyes. God is good still. Sound like he don't have any sense either. If that's the definition of not having any sense, just call me an ignorant. Beautiful difference. What a contrast. So, as it says in Matthew 10, we're to spread the gospel. But those that won't hear your words, brush off the dust of your feet and leave that town. So that's what we have to do. Be a light, but not to a point of arguing. We contend for the gospel. That doesn't mean we converse and argue, right? Maybe God will show mercy and maybe send someone to stand in the gap for that old boy that just doesn't get it yet. So, bless Vern, if you see this. I really appreciate you sharing that. That gives me strength to know that even in our darkest times, he's still God, and he's still worthy to be praised. You ever wondered how far God will go? Have you? He'll do a lot. I heard a story that really touched me. It was about a man that had worked a retail career for one of the biggest retailers in this country, on this continent. Had a good history with them. And one day the higher-ups walked in and did some layoffs, and he as a manager was one of those layoffs. He didn't worry about it. Good Christian man, had faith, had a good resume, and he knew he'd bounce back pretty quick. So he began the job search, and it was going okay. He got called back for several final interviews and looked like he had the job, but when it came time to accept the job, wasn't there anymore. This went on for a month or two, and things were getting a little tight. He was getting a little worried, and nothing was developing. He had to settle in for a job at a little local department store there in town selling shoes, making less than he did when he was a part-time college student. He was still provided for, but life wasn't at its best at that time. That rocked on for about a month and a half, and saw one of his friends in church and just kind of getting bitter and losing faith about why he was in that spot. Why had God put him there? And his friend said, well, if you ask him why you're there, maybe if you do that, you'll get out of there quicker. I think it's okay to ask God questions. Not question God, but asking questions. Well, this gentleman did just that. That next Monday morning before he went into work in the parking lot, he sat there in his car, and he didn't do it in the nicest way, but he said a little prayer and asked God why in the world was he in the position he was in. He went on into work and entered the sales floor, and he saw a young lady there that he'd worked with several times and exchanged niceties that you would to a coworker of sorts. Asked her how her day was, and she responded in the normal small talk way. It's okay. Well, he sensed something different in her voice that morning, and something felt off. So he pressed her a little bit more, and she got exasperated. So, well, if you must know the truth, this morning before I left work, I took my 45 and I loaded it and I set it on the kitchen counter and I put God on the clock. I said, God, if there's any reason that I need to continue in this thing we call life, you've got 24 hours to show me why. Pretty heavy stuff. She said, if I don't hear from him, I'm going to check out. This struck the gentleman pretty hard, and he forgot he was at work, didn't worry about it. He sat down next to the young lady and started sharing the cross and how much God loved her and the grace. Within seconds, tears started to flow down this young lady's face, and they sat there for the next 30 or 40 minutes sharing the love of Christ to her. He ended up getting fired from that job that day because he couldn't stop praying with this young lady and encouraging her. He got home that evening and he understood how far God would go. You see, God didn't care about finances. He didn't care about that job. Long before that fateful afternoon, when he stood in the gap for that young lady, God was moving. God was arranging it to where he was going to be in the way of her and eternity without God. His lights never got cut off. He never starved. God always provided. And he got another job shortly after and was fine. I would challenge all of you in your life. Maybe you're in a job that you don't care for and you question. Maybe you're in a home or a city that doesn't feel like home. And maybe it's something as simple as catching every red light on the way to work. Ask God, why are you there? Who is it that needs to be touched? Who do you need to interact with? For some reason, you're on a different path in a different season, and maybe he'll show it to you. And we never know who he's trying to help us stand in the gap for. I thought that was absolutely powerful, and I look at that with this old page. It's kind of tough throwing videos up every day, y'all. I got jobs and animals to take care of, and of course I'm a talker, always have been, but just try to share my heart. And I know it makes a difference in some, and I just pray that it continue to maybe shed a little light of his love. We'll end it on a little bit lighter note this Christmas. I've heard this one many times, and a good buddy of mine down Southeast Texas way, James Sonye, and I was talking about it the other day, and he reminded me of this story. I said, man, I hadn't recounted that one. It's a good one. I've heard it a lot, but it sure speaks to how God will use things and for our own good. Story's about a widow lady. Didn't have much at all. Lived for the Lord all her life. And she lived alone. Didn't have much food left in the pantry. She prayed every night earnestly, God, fill my pantry. God, fill my pantry. She was faithful to church and faithful in prayer. Well, the doorbell rang, and sure enough, there on the front porch was all the groceries she could ever eat. She just started shouting and praising, God did it, God did it. All of a sudden, this man jumped out of the bushes like to scare her to death. Jumped out, and he said, aha, I got you. She said, what are you talking about? She said, I'm your neighbor. I'm an atheist. I bought all these groceries just so I could prove to you that there is no God. I did this. Well, she went at it again, just praising. God did it. God did it. He said, now hush up, woman. You're not listening to me. He said, I heard you praying through that window. I went down to the grocery store. I used my money, my time, filled up my cart, put them in my car, drove them here, and put them on your doorstep just to show you that God didn't do it. I did it. She just started praising and shouting. God did it, God did it, God did it, and he made the devil pay for it. Oh, that's one of my favorite ones right there. So he sure got learned pretty quick that God, he didn't believe him, had used him pretty good that afternoon to bless that old widow lady that had faith in something a little better. Well, it's a cool evening here in East Texas. Got all the Christmas cards out. Most of them are rolling in from folks, and sure is a blessing. We're going to do the Christmas story either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day Eve for my grandkids. And I'm thinking we might just light a little old fire out here and sit down and set up. I know I'm going to do it live for them one-on-one, maybe through FaceTime, but we'll see how it works out and may share that with y'all as well. It's a tradition that my granddad did and my dad continues, where we sit down and we remember the reason for the season and read that beautiful account of the miracle of the birth and the gathering, the events that led up to it immediately that day and over that time from the Gospels. So if we don't talk before then, we're going to do a little roll call here. And I want all of you to know I wish you a very Merry Christmas. I appreciate all the support and the love that's shared over this past year and before, and we will continue. I may not, I got tickled when Thanksgiving came around. I know all of you mean it, and I do too. But it kind of got a little weary of me typing Merry Christmas on every comment 200 times, and it almost got to where it didn't feel as impactful. But please know that I do read those comments, and I do wish you all personally a Merry Christmas. But let me put on these spectacles, and we'll try a roll call with these goats if they don't eat my pant legs off, trying to get me to go in there and get them some milk. But hang on, I'm coming in here. I'm coming. Hang on. I know it's just way past bottle time, isn't it? Oh, all right. Let's see what we got here on the roll call. All right, we got to talk to the peoples real quick. Hang on. Yeah, this is gonna be I can already tell this ain't gonna work. We're gonna try though. Let me scroll back up. I'm looking. Hey, Donna, how are you? Good to see you, friend down Hustle Way. I'll tell you what, let me turn the camera around and let y'all watch the goats, and I'll read the comments. How's that? That a deal? All right, here we go. Name one of them Frida. I wonder where you got that name at. Oh, I see. Grove City, Ohio. Roland's checking in. Let me get back here where y'all can see them. They're going to stay right at my feet. There's Dale from Mocksville, North Carolina. Now, wait a minute. I'm trying to read here, y'all. Bruce is in Northern Ohio. Pat out in North Carolina. I'm going to try to keep moving around here so y'all can see them. Jimmy's, this is, you know what? If I had any sense, I'd get on the other side of the fence. Hang on. Y'all done got me in a mess. Is that why they say don't do live TV with goats? Goats, that too. With children or pets or animals, because you never know what's going to happen. All right, let's try this. Okay, they may start jumping. Jimmy Lynn's in Mississippi. Did I miss anybody right through there? No, I got it. There's Aggie. Thank you. It is blessed to be blessed, and we all are, even if it's just a breath of a new day. Nellie Neal is in Indiana, now 6 months in Florida. All right. Moving around the countryside there. I guess I'd want to be in Florida during the winter if I lived in Indiana, because it's so cold up there. Lillian, enjoy live videos, watch from Manitoba, Canada. How about that? Kenneth's up in Northern Ohio. Let's see, we've got... I'm scrolling, y'all. Just hang on a second here. Matthew, Merry Christmas. They're going to do their jumping thing. Let's see here. Buddy's saying Merry Christmas. Enjoy your videos. Thank you, sir. Yulee, Florida, where he's at. Don't know where that's at. I guess maybe that's Central Florida. Let's see who else is on here. Memaw Digger, words of encouragement. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Let's see. Hoping old Vern would be on here. I don't know how active he watches, but that was sure a beautiful comment that he made on that video. That meant more to me than the video itself. Sharon Diane Elrod. Yes, hallelujah. God is the most awesome God. He loves you so much. That's right. I think we reached the end of the comments. All right. Well, now I can get off of here and get these little goat critters fed. Yeah, that's right. Y'all, there is still that old cannon shed. Some of y'all are new to this. A lot of y'all are. I don't know if it's going to pick it up. And this thing's all run down, and it's an old farm with just junk everywhere. And before we go to hollering at it, we try to keep it organized. But I'll tell you, I'll walk by something 100 times, and then there'll be that one day I'm looking for just that item, and I know right where it was at, right? But let me see if y'all will look. This used to be our HEB. Hang on. Now, you can't eat these now, obviously, but look at that. That stuff was probably canned probably 25, 30 years ago. Still sitting there just like it was the day it was put up. Of course, Meemaw passed in 2008, and the canning operation pretty much had quit before then. But the sisters would gather in the summertime, and they'd put up vegetables. And I think it was a couple of my aunts that got a little old dollar store back when those started hitting it. A little old circular saying that green beans were 3 cans for $1 or 4 cans for $1. And I said, now why in the world are we doing all this work canning these vegetables when we can get 4 for $1? And that was the start of the end for the canning parties, unfortunately, here at this old place. But I just don't have a heart to throw those things away. They ain't hurting nothing in there. They ain't taking up any room I'm going to use, so just let them be. Maybe they'll be here when I'm gone, right? Probably will if nobody messes with them. But y'all have a good evening and Merry Christmas, truly. Let's celebrate the gift of hope. Good night. Be the light.